Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day as always. Trying to get your attention. Leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing. It helps out the channel immensely. It helps out the channel's algorithm. It helps my ranking on YouTube. Welcome back for another video. This is going to be a bit of a special one because a lot of these events are already beginning to unfold. There is a popular analyst. He goes by the name of Robert Breedlove. Yep, that is his name. It's Robert and then B-R-E-E-D-L-O-V-E, all one word. From the investment firm Parallax, that is P-A-R-A-L-L-A-X, has announced that he believes that in the year 2031, Bitcoin will be worth $12.5 million. So I need to lightly preface this by saying, when I first got into the cryptocurrency space, I won't lie to you, one of the main things that got me into the space was the money. Same as everyone else, I remember hearing many years ago that a Bitcoin would eventually be worth $1 million, and it seemed otherworldly to me how that would happen. There were a number of analysts back at that time, very, very few in the actual pool of crypto, who came forward to announce these things, and they all sounded a little off when they would talk, and a lot of times it was because they kept on mentioning nearly the exact same thing. It was the extinction of the US dollar, it was the extinction of fiat currencies, it was hyperinflation of currencies, and at that time, I didn't really know exactly what that meant, so this is why I always have the phrase, do your own research, because I did tons of research into the space. I began to look up, what are these crazy people talking about? I don't think the US dollar is going to die. How in the world would that happen? Seeing the events of the last just 2 years and the inflation that has marred and destroyed world markets and how they're unable to actually get it under control. For those of you who don't know why, in the simplest manner, world markets since around 2008 have become obsessed with the idea of printing money. The idea of printing money is usually free or comes at a very low cost to people who are looking to get it, and it stimulates the economy. All economies are based on debt. Every single one. Countries are in debt to each other. You buy a house through debt. You get a credit card through debt. Every single type of thing that is issued to you is usually some form of debt. There's credit card debt. There's, what's the other one? Health insurance debt. There's always some type of thing that you are indebted to someone else, and you're always required to pay this money back over and over, and the loop is meant to go on forever. Part of the issue is that the system has gotten used to this form of debt or this free issuance of money in order to prop markets up. As you prop markets up with the exact same thing as opposed to actually having them be the fair market value, they get used to this money constantly being pumped into the system. What happens when you take the money away? Markets collapse, like we're currently seeing right now. The idea is that eventually, very, very soon, they are going to have to turn the money printers back on, because we also had news recently from the UN to the Federal Reserve and a number of other countries basically telling them you have to do what you were doing before, which is basically printing money. We are going to, more than likely, live in a world very soon where the US dollar has a 15% inflation or a 20% inflation when the money printer gets turned back on. This is the entire idea. The idea is that as fiat currencies continue to devalue themselves, if you think it can happen, there were a couple of banks a couple of weeks ago who just released a list of other countries who have an inflation rate, I believe, over 12 or 13%. It was around 80 different countries. There are believed to be around 180 or 190 actual countries on the planet, and they're doing terrible. Absolutely horrible. Once again, those are the ones who had over around 12, 13, 14%, and everyone else below them simply did not make the list because those weren't considered extreme enough for the actual situation. He believes that we are going to start seeing major volatility within the US dollar as other fiat currencies begin to collapse, which is something that we are also already beginning to see. The general idea is that as more money gets printed and people see that their currencies are devalued, or it costs a lot more to be able to buy something, or their paycheck simply isn't going as far, they will look over to the cryptocurrency space and see that Bitcoin, in essence, is deflationary, as we know how much Bitcoin is going to be created, but the issuance rate continues to drop down until eventually it becomes zero. The volatility in the US dollar will come from the other world markets beginning to collapse, the printing of extra US dollars, which is what we're still currently seeing. This is the reason why inflation rates are, I think it's 8 or 9% or something like that within the United States, and even within the Eurozone, we're seeing inflation rates between 10 to 12%. He expects, now this is the craziest part, and I would have not believed this around 5 or 6 years ago. Typically, the inflation rate that a country goes for is roughly around, they say 1 to 2%, but we usually end up hitting 2.5 to 3% per year. The fact that we are near 10 to 15 to 20% in major economies right now, he believes that we are going to see hyperinflation of the US dollar within the next 5 years. That is to say, at some point, as we've seen in other governments around the world throughout history, you begin to print so much to keep your market afloat, but you forget that you're printing too much. As you're printing more and more, you devalue the other currency, so you have to print more to be able to make up for what you lost from the printing too much. Eventually, it gets out of control. And we all knew, and the craziest part is we knew that this was going to happen since 1971, when the US left the gold standard. Like, we knew that this was going to be an eventuality. It just seems like the last 2 years have been more of an accelerant to all of this. He expects not only will the US dollar begin to hyperinflate within the next 5 years, he expects that by the year 2035, that is not that far away. That is less time than how old Bitcoin actually is. 2035, that the US dollar will be worth $0. It's believable. Because if you look at the current path that we're on, the current path that other countries are on, this can't go on forever. You can continue printing as much money as you want, but people will find another way to actually save their money. This was also one of the main catalysts. You might have wondered why, when the stock market was booming around this time last year, it was because people saw the inflation levels were very high. If you watch documentaries or watch little exposés about people, what are you doing? You know your money's not going as far. They were like, I'm investing. I'm putting my money into stocks. I'm putting my money into crypto. I'm trying to buy real estate. I need a hedge against this massive inflation that is currently taking place. We are going to see this again. We're already still seeing it right now. If you paid attention to the other videos on this channel or the other channel, you see that people are still investing quite heavily in anticipation of the US dollar continuing to inflate like it has been, and people looking for a safe haven to put their money. It just so happens that a large number of people do believe that Bitcoin is also going to be this safe haven asset. So his final prediction is that by the time we get to the 2030s, nearly everything will be priced in Bitcoin. The idea being, a lot of times people confuse this idea. They think that it will simply only be Bitcoin. He's saying that by the 2030s, we will see things still priced in US dollars and in euros, but next to it will be a price as well in Bitcoin. So you know exactly how much the Satoshi value is of what you were trying to buy. But by the year 2035, people will have abandoned the US dollar and simply have moved on to something else. This is a metric that's been mimicked by a lot of other people, not just within the cryptocurrency space, but also people who were formerly into the banking sector or Wall Street who left and they said, I see what's coming. I know exactly what's going to happen. And they said, I'm trying to prepare. This is why I got so deeply into Bitcoin. The idea is Bitcoin, as of right now, is probably, if you've paid attention to what the New York Stock Exchange has said and the NASDAQ has said, and many other countries, if you missed the last video, I would suggest you go watch that so you really understand exactly how much money is flowing into the space, and it's flowing into very particular corners of the cryptocurrency market. Because realistically, if everything that we've seen going on continues for the next 5 to 10 years, we are going to eventually live in a world where no one's using or even thinking about a US dollar anymore. And it might just be into a $12 million per coin Bitcoin. I do hope you've all enjoyed. I hope you all are. I don't want to scare you and say that you're prepared, but if you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on since 2008, there are a lot of videos out there for you to watch, for you to catch up. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.